Hello, and welcome to Health and Fitness Redefined. I'm your host, Anthony Amen. Join me today as we take a dive into the world of health and fitness, where we learn how to overcome adversity, depict fact versus fiction, and see health and fitness in a whole new light. Today, we have an amazing guest, and I know I said it a lot, but this time I think I'm blown away. If you weren't blown away by last week's episode or the one before that, I mean, those are two crazy stories, which are just mind-boggling. I think I'm going to top myself every week. But today we have Tom Fabbri. And for those that don't know Tom, you're going to learn all about this guy. Not only was he at least a competitive bodybuilder and won, this guy has hiked 6 of the 7 summits, has totally changed his life around from beginning to end. And even on top of that, is taking it to a whole new level, developing something that I think you guys are going to find awesome. I don't want to talk about it, though. I want him to talk about it. So I'm going to get him on in here right now, and let's welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Hey, Anthony. Hey, thanks for the intro. That was good. That was good. Yeah, this is great. This was great. I love doing this. You know, just my story is a good story because, you know, what you're talking about, overcoming adversity, you know, perseverance, living your best life, living a healthy life, living a long life. And it doesn't matter where you're starting, you can change your life. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're young, middle-aged, old, or you have everybody's got adversities, right? Everybody's got problems. Everybody's, you know, but you can live your dream life. You can turn your life around. So that's why I love doing these things, you know, these podcasts. It's great.
And to me, I think I really stressed this in the last couple of weeks of the episodes, but like hearing people's stories like yours, like the last couple we had on, it's eye-opening, and it shows you that when you're not alone, everyone's gone through some type of the same hardship or bad break. And these are the people that have come back on top, showing it's possible. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from all this, which is why I love doing this. Everyone has some kind of adversity, but it's what you do with it that defines you.
Exactly. So let's get after it.
Yeah, and I want to jump right into, you were telling me about young Tom growing up on basically the wrong side of town, involved. I don't want to talk about it. You talk about it. Give us that brief summary about your pre-life, like how you started. Go for it.
Okay. Well, I grew up on the right side of town, and you know, middle class. My father was a bricklayer. And I don't know if you remember, there used to be a show on this was back in the day, called Leave It to Beaver. And I was this little happy-go-lucky kid. But I didn't have really the nurturing and the mentorship that I needed to grow up. And so I like to say that I was educated out of my genius from the schools that I went to the people that I was hanging out with. And so, you know, you don't know what you don't know. And I started hanging out with the wrong people at a young age, you know, drinking, drugs, gang fighting. And that just led into my father asking me to, you know, leave, get out of the house. So from there, I went into the service, I went into the Navy, and the trouble continued there. And then they asked me to leave too, you know, all the fighting that I was doing. And from the Navy, the trouble continued more. You know, I got a DWI. I went through 3 marriages. You know, the drinking, the drugs, in and out of jail. I remember my father he came and bailed me out one time, and he was driving me home, and he's like, when is this all going to stop? When is this all, when are you going to stop doing this? And I just said, I don't know. I don't know. So it just continued on until I was about 28, just over 28 years old, when I discovered aviation. And when I discovered aviation, that really kind of changed everything, because it was a huge goal, big goal, to learn how to fly helicopters and kind of do that for a living. And everybody was like, you're going to do that? I mean, I didn't graduate high school. 2 weeks of college, I was attempting college, but I'm like, what am I doing here? And I left, and that's when I joined the Navy, you know. But through determination, perseverance, a lot of hard work, working 3 jobs and whatnot, I became a helicopter pilot. It took almost 4 years, but that didn't matter. I was on this path. But when I started on that path, I realized that I needed to totally shift what I was doing. So, and that's kind of it in a nutshell. It was, a lot of years of struggle. I'd say 10 plus years, but it was all self-induced, right? I don't blame anybody else. And now it's just, I could do a deep dive into a lot of the, like the DUI, driving down the highway the wrong way and being pulled over.
Oh my God.
Thankfully by the state police, they pulled me over, stories like that. It's interesting because I went to an Irish Catholic school, parochial school. And the reason why I didn't graduate high school was because I failed a course called theology, and it was a marriage course. And I failed. And there you go. You got three marriages, So it's just, but that was just, it's, because now when I talk about it, people will come up to me because I do some speaking. I do, some public speaking. And, when you talk about transparency and being truthful and opening up, and I tell these stories, and people kind of laugh and chuckle, oh, 3 marriages. And I'm like, yeah, it's all good stuff because I learned. But people will come up to me afterwards and say, you know what, I'm going through a divorce, or I'm going through this, or my child's going through that. And they kind of open up. And for me, it just adds credibility to what I'm doing. So it was, like I said, I don't blame anybody but myself. I own it. It's my story. It's not anybody else's. But like we were talking about earlier, when we were getting to know one another, everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story. But most people are afraid to tell their story because they're afraid of being judged. And me, I could care less. But I wasn't always that way. I just had to learn about being vulnerable and shame and all those modalities, that will make you stronger. You just got to, say the heck with the naysayers, the heck with the critics, cut your own path and do your own thing. And if you listen to your heart and not your head, follow your heart, you'll be on the right path. And whatever it is you want to do in life. So, and you can overcome, because if I can do it, if I can do all these things that I'm doing and have done, then, anybody can do it. Anybody.
I think that's the biggest takeaway is nothing makes you special. You make yourself special.
Exactly. And, you mentioned climbing the 7 summits, I've done, and the 7 summits is the highest peak on each of the 7 continents. So I've traveled around the world, and the most amazing thing about that is, I've traveled around flying jets. I've, flown all around the world, flying corporate jets and airliners and whatnot. But when I started doing the mountain climbing, the biggest takeaway for me was the people that I've climbed these mountains with and the people that I've met along the way. I mean, I've partied with the Russian army when I was in Russia, you know.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I have some amazing stories. When I was in Argentina, climbing Aconcagua, the highest peak in the Western Hemisphere, I witnessed 3 people freeze to death. You know,
Oh my God.
yeah, due to exposure. You know, a team from Great Britain got caught in a snowstorm, and we hunkered down. You know, and the storm lasted for 3 days. But it was a team of 9 people from Great Britain, and 3 of them they got caught in the storm. They weren't able to put up their tents. They were near the summit, and they froze to death due to exposure. And we actually passed the bodies on the way up when we were pushing for the summit. So it's just like, you know, so things like that strengthen you. They harden you, but I think in a good way, you know. So it's these life experiences. That's what I'm looking to do. I just want to experience life.
I mean, that's got to be eye-opening in a certain sense. Does that scare you in the slightest? Like, hey,
oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. You know, when after the snowstorm went through, you know, when we were on Aconcagua, we had to go. We were at 18,000 feet. The snowstorm blew through in about 3.5 days. So after we went through, we went from 18,000, then we went up to high camp, which was about 19,300 feet. Then from there, we were going to go push to the summit. And so it was about 7 in the evening. We had a team meeting, and we always carry satellite phones with us so we could get weather updates, emergency, things like that. So we got a weather update dispatch from Seattle, and we talked about what we were going to do. You know, we're going to get up at 1 in the morning, put on all our gear, and we're going to rope in, you know, headlamps, the whole thing, and push for the summit. And the gentleman, our team leader, he's like, oh, by the way, that team from Great Britain that we saw climbing off into the snowstorm, we found out that 3 of their members froze to death, and we may be passing the bodies on the way up to the summit. And I'm like, what? It just really freaked me out. I'm like, you know, what am I doing here? I don't, you know. So I didn't sleep that night because I'm like, I'm not gonna go on, you know. But I got up at 1 a.m., you know, put on my gear, and you know, and I pressed on and went and summited Mount Aconcagua, you know. So, but that was a real eye opener for me because back then, I was doing it to prove the physicality and the training and all that. But then when I found out that, hey, I could actually die here, it became more. I learned more about myself. It's more training from the neck up, as I call it. You know, it's emotional, it's spiritual. It's the mental aspect of pushing yourself sort of beyond what you think you're capable of doing. But from that, I learned a lot about death and wanting to live a longer life and just show people that you can overcome any obstacle. You know, if I'm out here doing this, and it's a personal thing. You don't have to go climb Everest. Trust me, you don't have to do that. That's my deal, right? But you can overcome anything. You can overcome the death of a loved one. You know, you can, whatever. If you're bankrupt, I've been there. I've been down that road. I've been homeless. I've lived in my car, you know. So you can overcome. And that's why I go out and do these things. One of the reasons why, because I feel that if I'm out here living my best life, and that's my purpose in life, is to teach everyone I meet to live their best life. And how do I do that? By me living my best life. And I actually do it. I'm not just some guy sitting behind a desk, writing a book and disseminating information on how you are, like I'm this life coach kind of deal, you know, living your best life, when I'm out there pushing my limits, you know, seeing what I can do. So
I kind of always felt, and no one's ever talked about that before. So I'm kind of glad you brought that point up, that imposter syndrome kind of talk where,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, that's how I feel. Like, I can't tell you how many times I go and do things, nothing like you're doing, but I'm a trainer. Like, I can't tell people to go do these things and I'm not doing it. That's
Exactly.
wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to imposter syndrome. And that this really, I see people, and I get lots of emails and whatnot on coaching, and I see these life coaches out there, and I'm like, they haven't even lived life. They haven't experienced life, and they're going to tell others how to live life, based on, you know, I don't want you to live my life. You go out and live your life, and I'm just out here showing you that, I'm walking my talk. I'm failing along the way. I have struggles. I have hardships, I mean, even during this pandemic, we have hardships here too, I mean, so, I lost my mom during the pandemic last year with my father-in-law. He actually committed suicide. We
Oh
were
my
talking
God.
about it
Yeah.
earlier that he passed away. And I blame that on the medical community for bad information and bad drugs and just a lot of different things. But so everybody's got struggles. Everybody's got struggles, and you can get over them, if you want to. So it's a choice. It's a choice.
Love that. I absolutely love that breaking down. I want to bring it back a little bit and talk about, I mean, you won Mr. Universe.
Well, it was a natural,
which is even harder.
Yeah, but I don't know if you know the bodybuilder Frank Zane.
That sounds familiar, actually.
Yeah, he used to train with Arnold, 3-time Mr. Olympia, and he's out in San Diego. I mean, obviously he's older now and he's doing his thing out there, but one of the best posers. He had like the perfect physique if you're going to be bodybuilding. Like at 183 pounds, bilateral symmetry, everything was proportioned perfectly. But I went out and trained with him on three different occasions, and he taught me a lot, but I didn't want to go the steroid route. When I was in my early 20s, 21, I tried steroids for about 6 months, and I got a lot of pressure from friends and family. And I'm like, okay, nothing good is going to come out of this. So I quit, and I kind of gave up the bodybuilding, but I was always still in the gym, kind of training, doing my thing. But then after my third divorce, I got back into the gym and started competing again, but naturally. And just using real food, no supplements. I'm really not a supplement kind of guy, and they're not approved by the FDA. But just using real natural food and training, listening to my body. And it took me 6 years, getting up on stage, failing, and just kind of working on the routine and all that. And I was actually 52 when I won down in Miami. But it was kind of a weird thing. You're backstage and you see people passing out because they're dehydrated from not drinking water for 3 days. And I'm like, there's something wrong here, but it was a good thing for me, learning the whole process of training and feeding your body. And, that whole, like we talked about earlier, looking fit is not necessarily being fit, and I saw what people were doing to their bodies, training, the bodybuilding style, severe dieting and dehydration and diuretics, and they're still taking drugs too. They were still taking drugs. But I was grateful that I won, but I learned a lot. And then right after that, I started getting into the alpine climbing, mountain climbing, big mountains, and going on these, month-long adventures. And then I started learning how, excuse me, really learning how to take care of my body. But it was sort of my philosophy on how to take care of your body, and doing a lot of reading, a lot of experimenting with different workouts and whatnot. And that's how I developed, my workout based on functionality, based on motion, based on training a good core and movement and how the body actually moves. So it took me a long time, but here we are, launching. I know I'm kind of deep diving into other things, but one thing leads into another. But here we are launching a product, and there's struggles there too. It takes a momentous effort to launch a product, just like launching a business, right? Opening up a gym, right? So I'm sure you have your own struggles with that. That's not easy.
That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, right. That's not easy. Not easy to do. So yeah. So the bodybuilding, it taught me a lot. I was grateful for it. A lot of ups and downs there, and I was doing it while I was still an airline pilot. I still, to this day, I fly a jet and a helicopter for somebody. And whenever I go somewhere, I bring my food with me. I always bring my food with me. Yeah,
I think if anything, bodybuilding, at least training for it, which is what I see, it taught discipline.
Exactly.
It taught this is how to structure your life. I think that's the biggest takeaway a lot of people learn from it is, hey, if I can compete in a competition and win, which I don't care who you are, it is a lot of hard work. You need to be on point 24/7, watch every single thing you eat, how you move. It's strenuous.
It is. And looking at it now, I mean, it was a good thing for me back then, but you don't need to do that to live a healthy lifestyle. You need to make the right choices, and it's hard to make the right choices because what happens is you get a lot of peer pressure from society, friends and family, and I still get it. Oh, you crazy bastard. What are you doing? And I'm like, hey, I'm doing my thing. I don't need to, eat pizza every day or, eat out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people are afraid to say no, because they don't want to hurt the other person. So, but in essence, they end up hurting themselves, So that's why making choices and thinking of yourself, it's okay to be selfish, self-love. It's okay to do that, because I tell people, and you probably know this too, I mean, how can you build a business? How can you build a great family? How can you go out and do all these things if you can't get out of bed in the morning because you're sick and you're tired and, you're not taking care of, we don't get another body. I don't think, I don't know if anybody's proven that yet.
Who knows?
Yeah. So, and I see this especially in women, because women have that nurturing, they're taking care of their family. And I'm like, you need to shift that, take care of yourself first, right? Whatever you have to do, if it's movement, if it's good nutrition, it's proper rest, you need to do those things. Then you can take care of your children. You can take care of the husband. You can take care of whatever's going on,
Have you ever heard of the airplane phenomenon with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because, I was a captain for,
Yes,
for years and years, don't put the mask on your child first. Put it on you because you're going to pass out if you're trying, so. But
that's the only reason I brought it up. It's right up your alley.
Yeah, well, I thought so. I was going to say it, but I'm like, I'll leave that alone. But it's a true statement, though. People, it's okay to give, but when your cup is empty, you have nothing to give. So, yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
You went from bodybuilding and you went to summit, climbing 6 out of 7 summits. I know you're doing Everest, and you have to keep us posted on that because I want to do an episode just on Everest with you. I think down the future, I think would be a lot of fun. Just day-to-day breakdown on climbing. We had a guy do that he did a cross-country bike ride from Alaska to Florida without training for it, which was insane. And I loved it. So I want to do one with you on Everest when you get back.
Oh, yeah. We were supposed to go last year in March, but everything shut down, and everything's shut down in 2022 as far as going to Nepal. but maybe in 20 next year we'll be going. We'll just see what's going on with the business and whatnot. And so, but that's, and then after that, it's going to be skiing to the North Pole. And then I'll go back to Antarctica to skiing to the North Pole.
Wow. You don't get cold. I'm cold in New York. It's 30 degrees outside. I'm shivering right now thinking about it.
Come on, bro. Come on. It's not that cold. In Antarctica, you'll find this interesting. When we were down there, before I left, I was asked to go to Zurich and give a talk. And this gentleman, Robin Sharma, he's big into leadership, and he's got several books out. And I had sent him my book, and he called me up, and he wanted me to go to Zurich with him. And he was giving a summit talk, call it a summit talk, to leaders and whatnot, and business owners. And Steve Wozniak was going to be there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was going to be pretty cool. And I said, well, I can't go because I'm going to be in Antarctica. He's like, what? What are you talking about? You're going to be in Antarctica. I said, well, that's, that'll be number 6 of the 7 summits for me. And he's like, what's that? So we talked about it. And I said, and, I have a thought that I'll be in Antarctica. Your summit meeting, it was a 4-day conference in Zurich, Switzerland. It's going to be the same time when we're pushing for the summit down in Antarctica. So this is what I'm proposing. I usually bring a satellite phone with me. How about if I call into your summit and I talk to your people at the conference, and we'll make a connection. He's like, what are the chances you're going to pull that off? I said, 100%. I had no idea, but, we were going to do it. We were going to try. So what we did was, when I landed in Antarctica, it was amazing because we chartered a Russian cargo jet to fly us from Punta Arenas, the southern tip of South America, over to the blue ice field. There's a blue ice runway in Antarctica. It was just incredible. And then we started our climb and whatnot. But when I got there, we made some test calls to New York and then to Zurich, and they worked, So when it came time to do the summit call, it was a Sunday, and a Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Antarctica time. It was 1 p.m. in the afternoon, Zurich time. It was about 8,500 miles away. And what you do is you connect to these LEO satellites, low Earth orbit satellites. Yeah. And we made the connection. And I'm in my little tent, and it's it's frigid. It's minus 30 degrees Celsius. But there's a storm brewing, a windstorm. And at the time when the call started at 9 a.m., I had to call New York. I got a hold of my wife, and then she made the connection to Zurich. And we made the connection. And I got the stage manager, and he's like, hey, Tom, we got you. It's a great connection. We're going to put you on hold. I'm like, no, don't put me on hold. Don't. Because I'm in all my gear. I'm on my knees, and I got my little satellite phone propped up in front of me, and I got my earpiece in, and they put me on hold. And I'm like, no, but the wind is starting to howl. It's, blowing 30, 40 miles an hour. And you could hear the tent flapping, and, they put me on hold for 9 minutes.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And finally, they introduced me, and they had these huge pictures of me on stage in Zurich, of other climbs that I had done. And, Robin Sharma, he comes out and he's like, hey, we got Tom Fabbri here. He's climbing the highest peak in Antarctica. He's calling from the South Pole. And so we got into this conversation. It was amazing because I'm in the middle of this maelstrom, this storm, which ended up destroying the tent, and 90-mile-an-hour winds. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
it was incredible. But here I am talking about fear, overcoming adversity. It was perfect. And the call only lasted for 18 minutes, but it was just amazing. It was actually better than being up on stage and, talking about these things that I do. I was in it, and it was just this incredible thing. So much better than what I could have ever imagined. Just incredible.
That's an incredible story.
You should have been there.
I wish I was. Not in Antarctica, but maybe in Zurich, listening on the other end. I don't do well.
Yeah, but that's where nobody's coming to get you, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's coming to get us. We were prepared, physically, mentally. We had the gear and whatnot. I mean, there was 5 of us down there, and the storm totally destroyed our tent. We were laying in trying to hold the tent down from being blown away. If it had blown away, we would have probably died of exposure. 80 to 90-mile-an-hour winds. Those are hurricane force winds, and those temperatures, you would have been flash frozen. Seriously, flash frozen. So, but we survived, and a couple days later, we went on to summit the highest peak down in Antarctica. So it's a pretty amazing story. But it just shows you that you can do. You have to be able to risk a lot, and not that I'm somebody told me I was doing a podcast with these guys down in Australia. And so they're like, you seek out adversity. I'm like, no, I don't. It's just the things that I do seem kind of risky, So, but that's, I kind of thrive on that type of fear. It's like being an athlete or whatever, you use that feeling, that fear that builds up in you, and you go out and play, right? It's good adrenaline. So, but like I said, I just like to show people that you can go out and do anything and live your best life. And I think I'm living small. I need to up it a little bit. So we need to step up the game.
I can't wait to see what's next for you. I'm excited for you. I'm sitting here thinking about we're going up next year. We're doing Machu Picchu, which to me is something I've never done before. I've never done a hike, like days wise, something like Antarctica, but I'm excited just start.
Yeah, but that's your Antarctica. Get out there, push yourself, and it's really great being out in nature. I mean, when we landed in Antarctica, we got off this big Russian, they call it a Russian Ilyushin 72, big Russian cargo jet. From there, we got on a smaller turboprop on skis. We loaded up all our gear, and we were flying to it's called the Branscombe Glacier, where the mountain range is, and we landed on this glacier. But while we were flying there, it was like a 30-minute flight. I was in tears because this had been this huge dream of mine to go to Antarctica, the coldest place on the planet, and climb the highest peak. And I was with another gentleman, this guy, Dave Hahn, one of the premier climbers in the world. This guy's amazing. He's been to Everest 22 times. I'm like, but I met him. I met Dave on Mount McKinley, or Denali, if you want to call it, when I was coming down from the summit in Denali. That's the highest peak in North America. And I met Dave, and Dave is just amazing, this amazing climber. And I'm like, I want to climb with you. So we put a team together of 5 people, and we went to Antarctica to climb the highest peak down there. And it's just these things, when you put yourself out there, when you ask. I always tell people, if you have a fear of doing something, just take that one step and ask. Whether it's picking up the phone, hey, how do I do that? How do I get that job? What did you do, or whatever? Just ask. Just ask somebody. Once you take that first step of asking, doors will start to open for you. Like how do I start a gym? How do I open a gym? You asked, right? You just start asking questions. Other people have done it. right?
I actually went around and worked at every gym around Long Island and just asked how to do my position. I did make sure I did
Yeah,
everything. How do I do this position? How do I do this? How do I go for this? How do I go for this? Then you eventually learn, and then you just bite the bullet and you learn as you grow. Never going to be perfect. That's what I always say.
yeah. That's why you have to shoot first and ask later, kind of deal. Just take the shot, fail forward, fail faster, move on, learn from it. It's not failure. And that's what I learned when I was a little kid in school, because when you raise your hand to answer a question, and we were slapped back in the day because we were wrong, or what are you
Yeah.
doing? Go stand in the corner. That's not right. And so that's when I said, we are educated out of our genius through traditional educational methods. And I've been out there just kind of doing my thing. I'm a voracious reader now. I read everything, if I want to learn about something, but I read a lot about successful people and whatnot, but, health and wellness and people who have done amazing things with their life. So that's my learning. I have a wonderful library on just all these amazing people and going out there and pushing your limits, but so you can do anything you want in life, and you can even push beyond your limits. And I have a certain way of doing that too. Not really. There's a way to get beyond your limits is you kind of bump up against it and just keep pushing it away instead of like going way beyond it initially and getting hurt. I don't believe in getting hurt, because then you're laid up for 3-6 months, So.
Well, it's the same thing as weightlifting. You constantly push your muscles to the very limit. You don't go too much because then you get hurt, but you just go a little more.
Exactly. It's real simple. It's real simple. You just have to learn to take the ego out of it.
Yes.
Right? Take the ego out of it.
That's a big one. I want to talk about, I know you mentioned a few times you're owning your own business. I want to talk about that because talk about tie in perfectly to exactly what we're here, all about health and fitness. And you created a fitness product, which for those that are listening to the audio version of this, it's like a landmine. And I think it's very, very intriguing. And I want you to talk about it more. Talk about your product, Total Motion 360, when it's coming to market. Get us pumped for it, Tom. It's all you.
Okay. Well, we did speak about how it started. It started when I went from traditional bodybuilding in the gym kind of fitness, and I thought I was in just phenomenal shape. I looked like I was, but I really wasn't. And I found that out when I started climbing high mountains, big mountain peaks. And it was difficult. It was difficult. And I'm like, I need to get in shape better. How can I get in shape better? And excuse me, I was in the gym one day and I just grabbed a 45-pound bar, Olympic bar. And, that typically weighs 44 to 45 pound weight. So I put a 45-pound plate on the floor and I just started pivoting. I jammed the bar in the plate and started pivoting the bar, just sort of side to side motion, and then doing some shoulders, some squats with it, some legs. And I started using that. And I found out, I'm like, oh, there's a product here. There's something here. I had that sort of, if you want to call it a light bulb moment. And typically people don't take action on those moments, but I knew from way back in the day that I wanted to build a global company, but I didn't know how. And here was my how. And I love health and wellness. I love fitness. I just think people are doing it wrong. So based on the training that I needed to do to climb these big peaks, I just started experimenting with the 45-pound bar and the plate. And I never even knew it was a landmine workout. I thought I actually invented this kind of workout, but come to find out the Russians, they did that because they were taking a 45-pound bar and jamming it in a shoe and just started doing pivoting movements and throwing plates on there and doing all kinds of exercises with the bar. But I knew there was a product here, but the product was still kind of, I thought, archaic. And it really wasn't functional. And I wanted to get away from traditional training. I needed to train full body, but I didn't want to get hurt. I didn't need to be bulky, and I needed real fitness, functional fitness. And functional fitness, as you know, comes from physical therapy. You know, if you get an injury, you go to a PT place and they train you functionally, right? So, but I knew that functional training would help me get to the mountain. That's all I was trying to do, was get to the summit of these highest peaks. But I needed to be functionally fit. I needed to perform at altitude. I needed to carry heavy packs, 80-pound packs, and pull 100-pound sleds. I needed endurance to do a 12, 14-hour, climb. I didn't need big, bulky muscles, but I needed a strong core, which a strong core, once you have a strong core, as you know, helps you in every aspect of what you're doing physically. So I just started playing around with this bar, and then the light bulb moment came on, and I started putting pen to paper, coming up with drawings. Then I took the drawings to a company called Generations Beyond. We had these renderings made up, and I had this idea of different color bars. And we have different color bars. We have black, white, red, purple, orange, sassy pink. I came up with pink for the ladies. Green.
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 A live green for us.
Yeah. And they're powder coated. I changed the 45-pound bar to a 17-pound bar because I found out that the women, my wife, she's 130 pounds. She can't be like tossing around this 45-pound bar. She's like, it's too heavy to do all these moves. So, and then the base, I took the bar and I took one, you have a sleeve on either end. I took one sleeve off. And we actually put a 8-pound ball on the end of the sleeve there, and it's welded on. The other end, you know how the sleeve can spin?
Yeah.
You ever see people doing rollouts, trying to do a core workout? Well, we made it better. So now it splits, but one end spins. So when you're doing a rollout, the weight will spin, the bar will stay kind of stationary. I'd have to show you. And so that's, we put this nylon bushing in there to where it spins. And we made it all different colors because I was like, orange for Orange Theory, purple for Planet Fitness, green for Redefine, right? Sassy pink for the ladies, and they're powder coated, which you've seen powder coating on brakes of like Porsches and whatnot, and it's super strong. Then we cut the bar in two. So it's a great travel bar. And then we found out, I don't know if you've heard of a MACE workouts. So look up a MACE, MACE, and you'll see we actually, because when I started demoing to gyms and other individuals, they're like, oh, you have another product here. It's a MACE. I'm like, what? What are you talking about, a MACE? And so there's all these amazing workouts with the MACE, with the bar. I've incorporated yoga, Tai Chi, balance, HIIT training, all these different modalities, all in one functional bar. It's just incredible. So we're bringing it to the marketplace. March 5th, we're doing 6 to 8 weeks of testing the market, going out there and actually through Facebook ads, Instagram ads. And then after the 8 weeks is up, then we're going to be launching the product on Indiegogo, a crowdfunding platform. So you'll be able to, if you wanted to, you could pre-buy the bar and we're going to be offering huge discounts to it. But we're very excited. Companies have already been reaching out to me, which to me is exciting because here, although maybe I didn't invent this landmine workout, I've made something better. It's lighter. It's frictionless. It's sleeker, sexier. You can travel with it. I was just in Antigua.
You missed the most important part. It doesn't ruin your walls.
It doesn't ruin. Well, it's interesting because, I've met a lot of people around the U.S. and I would go into the gyms and I see the bars jammed into a corner, and a lot of times they'll put like 2x4s to kind of build up the corner, to where it doesn't chew up the corner of the plaster in the walls. And I'm like, this looks really sad. It just looks really bad. There's so much you can do with it. I just brought it. I was in Antigua for a weekend 2 weeks ago. I did this amazing workout on the beach. It's just that it's that versatile to where, you just, we have a carrying case and I did this amazing workout as the sun was setting. I'm on the beach and just training on the beach. It was just like, well, how cool is this? But you can do it in your living room. During the summer, I take it outside, and actually this winter I've been training outside too, because I like the cold exposure, So,
that's the Antarctic in you still.
No, well, I have this morning routine where I pray, I meditate, I journal, I do the hot, cold showers. I do, the cold method, the cold showers. And it's just my way of kind of getting ready to take on the day, the quiet time, I think we need that, just kind of, maybe it's, I've become more spiritual as I, put myself out there more. So, yeah, but it's my way of praying, it's my way. And I'll be honest with you. Doesn't matter if you believe in God or not, but I believe he put this product in my heart because my purpose is to inspire everybody I meet to live their best lives, right? And how do I do that? One way is through health and fitness, right? To me, it's so important. It allows me to do everything that I want to do in life. And if I'm sick, how can I go out and do these amazing things? You can't. So that's why this product, company in Japan recently, a couple of weeks ago, they reached out to me and they have offices in Mexico. And they're like, hey, you got a great product here. We'd like to be the exclusive in selling your product in Japan and Latin America. And I see this product, the TRX, you probably have some in your gym, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're awesome.
Yeah. And I was in Antigua and they had a beautiful gym down there, but I did a workout there. I did a stretch and whatnot, but then I did my workout on the beach. But they had a whole TRX system set up. And I'm like, if this guy here, I think his name is Randy Hetrick, that's his name, I believe. And he was a SEAL, he started in 2006 or 2007. His product is global. And I'm like, my product can be global too. And I see it in the UK, North America, South America, Australia. I've been talking to people in Singapore, somebody just like I said, Japan, and, we're going to go global. And that's kind of like this big dream of mine to build a global product and change lives globally, So that's kind of one of the big missions that I have in my life.
I love it. I mean, especially with TRX. I mean, he created that with ropes. He just was using ropes to hedge it because they were stuck. They were bunkered down for days as a Navy SEAL in these places, and they needed to keep limber. So he just grabbed the ropes they had and started doing exercises with it. So
I think they're awesome. I'm going out in September to do a crucible with the SEALs.
Man,
California. Yeah. So I need to. I know, right? No, I need to get my head right for Everest. So, but it's just another way to scare myself, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, I love it. I mean, you got so much passion, so much purpose. You took your life and just completely turned it around, and that truly in and of itself is just inspirational. And you invented a product that, yes, it's literally like, I love what you said. The landmine is kind of like the Jurassic Park version, where this is so much more elegant and so much more useful and versatile. And I love it. I think you could take this and do what TRX did, where now you have a product you could pitch to trainers, you have a product you could pitch to classes, then you can actually do certifications on the products, and they have an educational component to it, and kind of petition yourself around moving your body in motion. It's one of the reasons I love kettlebells as opposed to dumbbells. A lot of people don't know this, is that kettlebells are weighted off on purpose. So there's more weight on one side of it than the other, because it creates this like unbalanced movement, which just makes them so much harder.
Exactly.
Your environment isn't balanced. You're hiking up mountains, you're moving around daily, you walk into your car. How many people roll their ankles just by stepping off the curb the wrong way? Like these little things. Things aren't perfectly balanced in the world. Why would you train that way?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. And that's one of the things when you break our bar in two, it becomes a mace, with the ball on one end. And we do these mace flows. I don't know if you know about flow, getting into flow.
Yeah.
It's kind of like getting into kind of like getting in the zone, a runner's high or whatever, and you can get into flow, but it's offset. The weight is offset. So you're doing all these workouts with something that isn't balanced, but it helps you to balance the product. So, and that's how I see it. And, it's my way of stretching myself and learning myself, but touching millions and millions of lives, around the globe. And, and then there is a bigger purpose beyond that too, because I want to help save the planet, and I need the resources, I like to say that, what is the biggest natural resource that we squander? Do you know what that is?
Oxygen is, I guess.
No, our health.
Oh, yeah, there you
go. But that's my term, but we squander our health ruthlessly. I mean, you just look at, we're the richest country in the world. We're the sickest country, right? Why is that? We're lazy, so we need to just get out there and move, whatever that is. You don't have to do my product or your gym or whatever, but you get out there and move, take care of your body, and that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this, right? That's why we're on this podcast. You're disseminating information, and it's great. I just think, this kind of platform is great. It's great for you. This is such a pleasure to be talking to you about what we're doing, right? We're trying to change people's lives for the better. I want to do it on a global scale, and that this product came to me, but I needed to make the product better, more useful, and bring in all these different modalities of training into one physical product, and make it fun, sleek, sexy, all these different, the different colors, and you can order your own color, whatever it is, if it's what type, I need to know what type of green you want, I'm sure you have a certain green,
Neon green.
Neon green.
Neon green, man. That like limey, like yellowish green.
Yeah.
When you come to my gym, you'll know instantly.
Perfect. So that's that's one of the ways that I want to do it, but I want to get back to having the resources to save the oceans, because once I'm done with the 7 summits and skiing to the North and South poles, I want to dive go to the deepest depth of each of the 5 oceans. So
you just hit my biggest fear. Boom, right there.
Oh, really? What's that? What, diving?
Just water.
Oh, I love the water. Yeah.
I think it's the claustrophobia. Something about being held underwater. It's just, oof. I have no problem with heights. I could be on the tippy top point, like with no barriers, no problem. The second you put me underwater, even if it's a pool.
Yeah. See, I'm afraid of heights. I'm definitely afraid of heights.
And you hike summits.
Yeah, I fly jets, helicopters.
You're literally only in the air.
Yeah, so for me on the climb, going up is, I mean, it's hard, but coming down is the hard part. Coming down, because then you feel exposed because you can see all this open air and everything in front of you. And we have a saying too on the mountain that the summit is optional, getting down is mandatory. And that's where you see a lot of the deaths. You know, people expend all their energy, everything they do to get to the summit, but now you got to get back down.
I heard that's the biggest. I was actually watching a documentary on Everest, and that's what kills the most people.
That's what kills the most people. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. You know, so don't, turn around. The mountain will always be there. You know what I'm saying? It'll always, I mean, it's going to last longer than we are. so, yeah.
I love it, Tom. Thank you so much. And we're going to start wrapping this up. So
yeah.
In conclusion, what is one take-home advice you want to leave with our audience? What's that take-home message from all of this? Wrap this up for us.
We only have one life, right? There's no do-overs. There's no, the next life I'm going to try something different. We only have one life. Treat it with respect and love. And if you do have a fear or a struggle that you're going through, reach out to somebody. You know, if you want to build a business, just pick up the phone, start asking. If you're going through a struggle, pick up the phone, ask for help. It's okay. I ask for help all the time, you know? So that's it, you know? Take care. This is the most important thing, meaning your health, your wellness, your body. Okay. I see people lately who, through one form or another, whether it's through cancer or some sort of illness, or, and they have regrets at the end of their life. Don't have any regrets. Go out and push your limits. You can do it. If I can do it, trust me, anybody can. I've been, like I said, in and out of jail. I've been completely down and out, and I just keep going, because I have this belief in myself. So that's it. That's kind of my philosophy of life. So,
thank you.
I could go on and on, but I'm sorry.
No, I love it. That pretty much just sums it up. Ask for help. Hey, listen to podcasts. I listen to podcasts like 6 a week easily, and they're all business related because I don't know everything, and I can't meet people in person nowadays. So I just listen. And thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Health and Fitness Redefined. Don't forget, subscribe to our show and join us next week as we dive deeper into this ever-changing field. And remember, fitness is a journey, not a destination. Until next time, guys.